Good morning. So, why did the cheese start lifting weights? Because you want her to get shredded, of course. So, once again, it's Cheese Friday, and we have the long-awaited mascarpone. Good morning, and welcome to the Radical Geek YouTube channel, where we upload videos a couple times a week and host a live stream on Sunday nights, affectionately coined Coffee Talk, where we brew a warm beverage together or sometimes a cold beverage. And then we often pair it with a ketogenic recipe and then chat amongst ourselves, get a little nerdy, and have a good time spending time with each other. So, but on Fridays on this channel, we do a thing called Cheese Friday, where I bring forward a cheese. I talk to you about it in terms of a cheese review, where we talk about its hardness, the rind, its color, appearance, and taste. And we go from there. Sometimes there's some other facts and sometimes not. And sometimes, like today, we do a little recipe. Today is the long-awaited mascarpone, and because everything is bright white, it doesn't show up great on the camera, but this is the Bel Gioioso brand of the mascarpone, and you can get it in the grocery store. We've had a little bit of a shortage around here lately, and I did already peel the film off from the inside to make it easier for us, but let me just go ahead and pop that lid off. You can see it basically is a nice soft white disc. It looks very similar to cream cheese, but it is not cream cheese. So mascarpone is a little bit different. It's made by adding a tartaric acid or citric acid and lemon juice to full fat heavy cream, or butterfat really. And it's a Renaissance era invention that came from Lombardy, Italy. Ooh, don't come at me if I'm wrong. Just let me know that I'm wrong and misremembered. I'm pretty sure it's Lombardy. A lot of cheeses and wines came from that region, so sometimes, my memory. So today, I'll give you a little more information about the mascarpone, but also we're going to make a recipe. This recipe is more or less the Two Crazy Ketos Keto Chow pie filling. If you look on their website, no, I didn't put it in the description. I'll try to remember to do so because it's a little different than what I'm doing today. But they put it in their coconut flour pie crust, and I just quite frankly don't want to extend the carbs for that, but I am looking for a good fat boost for fuel for exercise, plus also a nice treat. So we're going to run with it. Their recipe also uses allulose, and I did not use sweetener other than what's in the keto chow. I find that's good enough for me, and also it just suits me a little bit better. But you will definitely, unless you are very much not sweet inclined whatsoever, probably want to add the sweetener into your recipe. So the mascarpone does not really have much of a smell. It's super, super mild. It's a little bit sweeter than cream cheese, whereas cream cheese has that tart tang. It's a really kind of a buttery, velvety sort of texture. More akin to ricotta in the mild flavor than it is to the cream cheese, even though in texture it's more similar to cream cheese. Now, cream cheese is a very smooth texture. It's soft, and you can spread it around on stuff if you sit it out for a little bit. The mascarpone is a looser, more velvet kind of texture. So not hugely different, but different enough that you want to think about it. So, I kept feeling warmth, and I was like, what's going on? It's my coffee. It's Cheese Friday, but we still got to have coffee every day. It's just the way it goes in this household. I might have to talk to you guys about this coffee on Sunday. We'll see. Anyways, I mentioned it's more similar to what you would get with a double creme brie than to the actual cream cheese. Uh, Not that they're dissimilar. In fact, you can often substitute them back and forth in some ingredients. If you use some mascarpone in a cheesecake, it will be a much denser cheesecake, very rich. You gotta watch it because when you add your citric acid, you can accidentally curdle it a little too much. So just be mindful as you do that. So I will also tell you that while cream cheese is also made with heavy cream and whole milk, the fat content's about 65-65%. Mascarpone is made of the butter fat and has more of a fat content of 75%. So that's your rundown here. Like I said, it doesn't have a rind. It's definitely a soft cheese. There's no slicing or anything like that. You could scoop it up with a spoon, but it's really more better for recipes like a keto tiramisu, perhaps. We're not done with this stuff. We'll show you some more things in the future. And that tiramisu thing might be a little bit of a hint of things to come, but I'm not going to spoil it. But, so I have my 8 ounces of my mascarpone. I also have an 8-ounce block of softened cream cheese and a full cup of heavy cream that I have whipped stiff, not going to fall out, stiff. And if you're not in a studio, while you do this mixing over here, go ahead and pop that back in the fridge. And then I also have a half cup of unsweetened almond milk. So from here, I'm going to take my cream cheese and my mascarpone, scoop that out in there. Probably fine. I was like, maybe I should have got a bigger bowl, but I think my bowls are running low right now. I know I've talked about it a fair bit, but yeah, I moved my 20-year-old kid out into their own apartment, and while they're establishing themselves, they've absconded with many of my things, with my blessing, of course. So we may have to get some more bowls and things like that, but how exciting though, right? Getting an adult. So we're just going to mix this together. You want to sort of get this started with the mixing before we add the other things to it. This is also, there you go, just making sure that it's, it doesn't have to be perfect this first little bit because it's going to get more mixing here. Myself a little bit of a crater. The next thing is I'm going to add this 1 serving of chocolate toffee keto chow, which to me tastes more like butterscotch. So even though, since I'm not actually putting it into a pie crust, I'm just going to make these little dessert cup size servings. I went with a butterscotch. You can use any flavor of keto chow, and if you're not a user of keto chow, you should know while it's not quite as stiff, and you definitely will want to add some sweetener, you can also use a whey protein isolate. I've used like the chocolate and the strawberry J-Rob whey protein isolate. So, and I've also used the cookies and cream Isopure. I didn't enjoy the texture from the Isopure as much, but it really wasn't enough difference to really make it all that big of a deal. So we're going to mix this. It takes me a second because of the dry powder. And well, I just kind of, and I don't know. I'm not the greatest. I don't plan appropriately on my bowls, and you'd probably want to do this with like an electric mixer, but of course I didn't want to bring that to the studio, and I'm like, well, I have a spatula, good enough, which makes it a little tougher. But once you start getting this kind of incorporated, you want to do it a little bit first before you add the additional liquid so that you don't get clumps from your powders. That's kind of like a really important thing. No clumps in the powders. So, all right. Anyway, so as you can see though, it's getting a little too stiff. So now we want to start working in our almond milk. Gushy, yuck. But delicious in the end result. And like I said, so I went with that butterscotchy sort of flavor from the chocolate toffee. I just think that that's it's just a really nice flavor for me. Sometimes I add espresso powder in. Not today, not with the chocolate toffee. I think the espresso powder is really friendly with chocolate, and I really do love that kind of moussey sort of feel. If you don't have a peanut issue, it does up the carbohydrate counts, but you could mix up some peanut butter from the peanut powder. When I use peanut powder, I use the Naked brand that I just buy off of Amazon. So time to. It does take a second to work this in. You don't want to just dump all of that fluid right in there because then it becomes difficult to incorporate. And if you incorporate it in small stages, you'll get a much smoother, happier result. If you are using a KitchenAid though, go ahead, dump it all in. You might get a little splashing, so be aware. And what this does is this really brings up the a more moussey sort of soft texture between the cheeses and the powders, lightens it up a great deal, which of course you want in your nice little fluffy mousse cups. That's what I'm going to call these right now. It's not truly a mousse, but your dessert cheese cups? I don't know. We're eating pie filling, but without no pie. And that's the way I like it today. So, that's it for that. And I think this is like the least amount of dirty dishes I'm going to create for one of these things in a long time. So yeah, that's definitely a lot of fluid. So now I've poured too much in at once, so it's going to take me a little bit to squish it around without being messy. There's the temptation for me to just like go gangbusters on this, but obviously that would make a huge cheesy mess on my table and on me, which I don't want because I have a work meeting in 1 hour. I don't know about you guys, but I'm about done with these meetings. Fortunately, I mean, I always have meetings. That's what happens in corporate life, I suppose. But I've had like 3 days of like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. meetings, and they give us a break for lunch. But like, I don't need a break for lunch. I need like 15 minutes here and there just to kind of group myself and be organized. And honestly, you need that mental break. I feel like the all day long meetings, it's just too much. I'd rather extend things a little bit or swap around the workload. There we go. Now we can go for it. Make sure that you get it nice and smooth and you don't have cheese clumps. Because the next thing we're going to do is start doing some tempering. Let me just tidy this a little bit. My bowl is a mess. I know that doesn't bother some people, but I don't like when my bowls start to get like too unkempt. I think it leads to being untidy further down the line. I don't know. Maybe that's just craziness on my part. I've been staring at my bowl, not looking at you guys, and I apologize for that. How rude. If you're a child of the 80s, that was slightly more amusing. But, alright, so here we are. Now, I've got this nice, soft, fluffy mascarpone cream cheese keto chow mixture. And we're going to do two things. I'm going to bring a scoop of this whipped cream in over and mix that in to kind of continue to fluff it up, but also so it helps lighten it up, but also it will make it easier to incorporate the other direction. Whenever you're doing things like tempering, that's how you do it. You bring one scoop over here, a couple scoops over. If you're using warm stuff, in this case it's whipped cream, so we just wanted to lighten it up. It immediately lightens up because you don't want to completely collapse your cream as you are mixing. So you do a little bit here, and then now we can take these scoops and slowly start incorporating it into your whipped cream. Again, you don't want to completely collapse it, but you do need to combine pretty well. And we just go back and forth, get another scoop. You'll find that it will be much easier if you do a little bit at a time, and then you won't lose as much of the fluffiness of your whipped cream. You are going to lose some fluffiness, of course. It's just the way of doing such things as these fillings. And now after this batch, we can go ahead and then we can go full bore because everything will be good and fluffy, texturally incorporated, and ready for a slightly heavier duty mix. Oh, did you see that? Shh. I told you. I just can't do it. Never a time is there going to not be a drip, drop, or a spill. But such is life. I'm pretty sure that's normal in every kitchen. And I recognize that this is a studio and not the full-blown kitchen. Hey, with my kid gone, some appliances also disappeared. I'm half wondering if I'll be able to figure out a good way to place a camera in there so we can use the kitchen, but I've got such a sweet setup here. Shh. You didn't see that either. I mean, I know you did, but we don't have to talk about it. Things you shouldn't do while you're cooking. Lick your fingers. Use tasting spoons, that whole 9 yards. Anyway, so that's it for this pie filling. And so all I would say is if you are using it to make a pie, which by the way, these pies go over gangbusters at potlucks or dinner parties. People love it. And so they're often blown away when I say, oh yeah, I can eat this, no problem. They're blown away because often many people decide not to eat it because of how rich and fatty it is, which of course for us is a bonus. So that is it for this particular little dessert. I'll scoop myself a serving. This makes 8 servings. Sometimes in the pies they say cut it into 12. You can squeeze 10, but then they are really, really tiny and I find not as satisfactory. So that's another reason that I just like these little dessert cups. You make myself a nice little serving here. As I said, plenty sweet. It's like the fluffiest, richest butterscotch pudding. So let me know if you need any more mascarpone facts. Since I only used one batch, there's one more container upstairs. I have a recipe idea in mind. It's almost ready. And so you can look forward to seeing that in the not too far future. And I just want to update you. I know that I have not been doing videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday. Life has been extremely chaotic. So I did narrow it down to doing our Cheese Friday and our Sunday live streams. It's temporary. We'll be back full bore probably come September. So no worries. Well, not that anybody was really worried because there's 9 million videos on YouTube, but I just wanted to let you know I wasn't like completely dropping the ball. It's just been kind of a nutty time and I want to make sure that I can focus and give you quality. So, I mean, okay, I know, questionable on the quality piece, but you know what I'm saying. Anyways, if you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to this channel and then hit the little bell icon so you're notified every time we upload or go live. And enjoy some cheese today. Have a good one. Bye-bye.